Hello there, this is Brian with 7 in All Makes. Today I'd like to share with you a few of the things that I've learned about working with PLA filament for 3D printing. When I got my 3D printer and assembled it, I was really so eager to begin printing with the filament that came with the printer and to get my first benchy printed that I took the box and pretty much just ripped it apart and tossed it aside. And actually I think I gave it to one of my kids, who then took the labels off and opened it up and began using it for something that they wanted. Well, later I realized that keeping the box around and keeping the information about the filament is really important. That way you know the specifications and the manufacturer. Maybe it's a filament that you really like and you want to order again. Maybe it's a filament that you don't like or has a specific use. So just keeping the box with the information is very helpful for storage. Secondly, I took the wrapper and just kind of ripped it right apart. Later realizing that a lot of these wrappers are sealable. And the big thing about filament, PLA filament, is that it absorbs water. A lot of things are better when they have moisture, but for filament, PLA filament, it's much better when it's dry. When it becomes wet, it becomes more brittle. So keeping it dry is very important. When you get your PLA filament, a lot of the inner liners, the bags that it comes in, may come with a reclosable closing latch for it. And this is really good because then you can store your filament back in this bag. If you don't have one of these bags, it doesn't come with it, maybe pick up another type of reclosable bag. And then if it comes with some silica and desiccant, keep that with it. If you don't have that or need some more, go online and buy some more and put it in that sealable bag. That desiccant will absorb the moisture and keep your filament dry. Why is it important to keep your filament dry? Let's take a look. When I first began printing, I would leave the spool of filament on the spool holder overnight or when it finished printing, in case that I wanted that same color again the next time I was going to print. Later, I realized the filament's getting brittle. It's absorbing moisture, and I would come and find that it's already broken or cracked, and then that's going to just waste the filament, as well as it's also going to cause other breaks in the filament itself. So now when I finish a print, I reheat the machine, get it up to operating temperature, and take the spool off and restore it in the bags, in the boxes. Another important thing about the PLA filament and the spool would just be to keep track of this end. You don't want this end of the filament getting tangled with another coil of the filament, and that way when it starts unwinding in a print, it's going to get tangled up and you're going to have problems. So keeping it out, and there are different things that you could print out to hold it. For now, I've just tried to tape it down to the end of the spool, and that keeps it from getting wound up in the rest of the coils there. Since the PLA filament does absorb humidity and moisture in the air, I'm keeping them in the sealed bags, in the boxes, but then I also purchased these plastic containers. I'm keeping these sealed so that less humidity can get to the filament, and as well as also keeping a humidifier that will absorb the water in the air and just reduce the amount of moisture that the filaments are going to pick up as they're stored between prints. Again, keeping your filament dry is just going to keep it from becoming brittle and breaking. It will also reduce the amount of stringing that you get on your prints, so you'll get higher quality prints with a drier filament. It's also possible to keep your filament in a food dehumidifier. I've seen some information and some pictures about keeping filament spools in a large dehumidifier that keeps the moisture out of the filament, or taking the spools of filament and putting it in an oven and drying it out before you use it, again to remove all the moisture from the filament. So again, there's different ways of keeping filament dry and in the best quality condition for use. So just explore some different ways. Well, I hope this video has been helpful. as I share some of the initial things that I've learned in terms of PLA, working with PLA filament, and how best to care for it. The better you keep the moisture out, the better your prints will be. As you print, it won't get brittle and break, and you'll get less stringing on your parts. If you enjoyed watching this video, if you've learned something, please give it a like. If you've learned some other things about working with PLA filament, please include that in the comments. We'd love to hear and know what you've learned, as well as share with others. Thanks a lot. If you'd like to know when new videos come out, please hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.